profits, health over profits, health over profits, health over profits, health over profits.
Day of action, the Solidarity Caravan, by beginning to talk about the real issues behind the rebellion that's going on in this country, behind the conditions that hundreds of thousands of people are rising up. And we're also going to talk about the systemic problems in the economy, about how 42 million people have no jobs. They have no possibility of getting their rent paid. They can't take care of their children and pay their rent. So we're talking about real life and death questions for working people, how to survive. How are working people going to be able to survive? My name is Steve Zelter. I'm with the Workers' Solidarity Alliance, and also I do a radio show called Work Week on KPOO in San Francisco. So we're here today at the California State Building. And I understand that the State Building is now closed, and we have a lot of protectors in front of it. And one of the questions we're asking is, California has 18 million workers, 18 million workers, but there are less than 200 health and safety inspectors, OSHA inspectors in California. That's to cover 18 million workers. We're asking, why isn't Governor Newsom fully staffing Cal-OSHA? Why are workers having no protection on the job? This is a serious question. Workers now are being told to go back to work at Tesla, at other locations. They call them essential locations, essential work locations, but they don't have any health and safety protection. And that includes transit workers. And one of our speakers today is a transit worker in MTA in San Francisco. She's also with Black Workers Unite. Welcome, Kim Cox.
Thank you, Steve. Hi, everybody. My name is Kimberly Cox, and I represent Black Workers Unite, and I'm also a worker with the City and County of San Francisco, SFMTA. And I want to know, like all my colleagues want to know, where the hell is OSHA at? Where are you? We need you now. We need you to come out from hiding. This is the time you're needed the most. While we're in this major pandemic, we have numerous cases of COVID-19, and you decide to hide. While our essential workers have sacrificed and have been brave doing their jobs, Cal-OSHA has been hiding like little punks, I guess they're in the bunkers with Trump. As anyone knows, you'll shut us down in a heartbeat. But now that stuff is hitting the fan, you're nowhere to be found. Let's get the rules straight. Now, for employees, according to OSHA, employers are to do the following: explicitly identifying potential physical hazards with conspicuous marketers and clearing warning signs. That's not being done. Check mark. You're obligated to provide the necessary tools and equipment so that we can do our jobs. That's not being done. Check mark. You're keeping employees updated on Cal-OSHA changes to regulations and requirements. That's not being done. Check mark. Providing medical examinations and training when called for by OSHA standards. That's not being done. Check mark. In businesses of 10 or more that are considered not low hazard industries, to make sure all work-related injuries and illnesses have adequate records accessible to all employees or our authorized representatives. That's not being done. Check mark. Avoiding all forms of discrimination in the workplace and abolishing all discriminatory sales immediately. That's not being done. Check mark. Lastly, deploying OSHA citations at or near the location until the infraction or violation is corrected or 3 days has passed since it has occurred. That's not being done. Check mark. Please note that Occupational Safety and Health Act was enacted in 1970 by Congress so that these rules would be placed in place for our safety. Now, as these items are being violated, it is your responsibility to ensure corrective action is taken. So check this out, OSHA. We have had violations in all of the categories, and you have done nothing. We have essential workers without proper PPE till this day. They are reusing normal masks, which gives them no protection. Many departments do not have proper masks, such as N95s or higher. Identifying hazards for our best interest is not being done, as we have to work in places putting us at harm's way on a day-to-day basis. I personally witnessed that at my work location, where we had 2 employees to come back to work from out of the country who were very, very sick. They fell ill, and management didn't warn us or take timely appropriate action. Nor did anyone certify if our facility was an appropriate place to continue to work in, with all of us possibly being contaminated with COVID-19. So, how can violations be corrected if they're not being addressed by OSHA? With our city departments going into a phase to reopen, we need for you to do your job and provide our employees assurance that they will be entering a safe and healthy workplace. While we are the sacrificial lambs in the various frontline and essential services in transportation, healthcare, construction, labors, and etc., or just trying to social distance within the office, we need your guidance. Discrimination is at an all-time high. When we whistle blow like I did, you are told to go clean the buses, or like my colleague, you are put on the front line without proper PPE, not even a mask, taking in COVID clients. We now have 2,558 cases in San Francisco and 42 deaths. We have had a stay-at-home order since March 17th. So, where have you been, OSHA? It's almost 3 months now. So come out of your hiding and do your job. You are the governmental agency in charge of safety. You talk the talk, but don't walk the walk. We need you to practice what you're here to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. And that was Kim Cox. She's a member of SEIU 1021 and with Black Workers Unite in San Francisco. She works for the MTA. Now, all of you know about Tesla and Elon Musk, that great billionaire who just lost a ship paid for by the United States. Well, Elon Musk sent back his workers back to work without testing them, and he got a pass from Governor Newsom. In fact, Governor Newsom congratulated him, and they had the Fremont police checking on the health and safety of that plant, of the Tesla plant, which is outrageous. What do the Fremont police know about health and safety at the Tesla plant? Our next speaker is Carlos, and Carlos Gabriel is a worker at Tesla who's been fighting for health and safety for himself, his fellow workers, and the families of the workers. Welcome, Carlos.
Health over profits! 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 Thank you, Steve. My name is Gabriel, and I'm a worker at Tesla and also an organizer and activist. Why are we here? We're here because Cal-OSHA has been missing in action. Even though they're the authority in workplaces such as factories and Tesla, and the fields as well, Amazon and others. My experience with Tesla, it has been that Cal-OSHA has not visited, they have not inspected. And we're asking for them to have, to be fully staffed, to have at least 1,000 inspectors. Right now they have 200 inspectors for over 20 million workers in the state of California. So neither Cal-OSHA has been present at Tesla or any other factory. They have been quoted as saying that they have not been present because it is too dangerous for them. However, I guess it's not too dangerous for workers, right? So we're paying Cal-OSHA through our taxes, and they're not doing their jobs, right? And that's what we hear at their offices. You know, where is Cal-OSHA? Can you say it with me? Where is Cal-OSHA? 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 And as Steve mentioned at Tesla, initially Tesla refused to open. They categorized themselves as critical infrastructure, as critical manufacturing, even though the Alameda County official was saying, no, you're not. So after receiving pressure from workers and from community members and the health officials, they decided to close down. They shut down for 2 weeks and attempted at opening right after. But it was through collaborations like these and people power that we managed to shut them down until Elon Musk decided he was going to illegally reopen the factory without any true inspection, without any sanitation, with very little PPE. And now workers they're in full capacity, and workers held at risk, right? We're still in the middle of a pandemic, and all they care about is profits. Yesterday we saw that SpaceX sent their astronauts up in space. They had all the proper PPE, right? They couldn't survive without that, right? They couldn't breathe without their astronaut suit, without their suit, their space suit. It's the same way for workers. Workers won't be able to breathe. They won't be remember that this virus attacks your breathing. Workers won't be able to breathe without their PPE. So why isn't Tesla providing the right PPE? Why did they open illegally, right? And that goes across the board, right? In the fields, Amazon, we know that there hasn't been an outbreak at Tesla, but we know Amazon there has been an outbreak. And let me tell you about Tesla. Tesla has about anywhere from 10,000 to 15,000 employees that are at risk of this virus, right? 10 to 15,000 employees that come from across northern and central, in the Central Valley in California. So if there was an outbreak at Tesla, it'll be devastating for all those parts from Merced County all the way to Fresno County, all the way to Santa Cruz here in Alameda County. That'll be very devastating when you have 10,000 to 15,000 employees. I myself, I refuse to go back because I know that I don't want to be in a social gathering with 10 to 15,000 people for mediocre pay. They're not receiving hazard pay. Another thing I know is that Tesla has a good chunk, I want to say 30 to 40% of the employees are contract workers, contract workers without health insurance, without paid sick leave. So if they get infected, they really have no cover. They have no cover, right? My name is Gabriel, and I just want to say, Tesla, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, everyone, just put health over profit. And Cal-OSHA, where are you? Where are you, Cal-OSHA? Thank you.
In California, if you have a serious health and safety problem like getting PPE, if you're a frontline worker, you should be able to get Cal-OSHA to do a physical inspection. But apparently Governor Newsom and the state of California don't have any money for physical inspections. Imagine that. The state is a multi-billion-dollar operation and they don't have money to do physical inspections if workers are properly protected with PPE. I think that says that these government agencies don't give a damn, or the people that run them, about the health and safety of workers in California. So our next speaker is Darla Brown, who's a longtime activist at Highland Hospital, which has been privatized with the management and where they fired a worker. Welcome, Darla Brown.
Hi everybody, my name is Darla. Nice to meet you. With my history with Cal-OSHA, I reported them years ago, and of course I was retaliated work and I was fired. when I reported to OSHA, they never came out to investigate the solution. They said they called the hospital, which is Highland Hospital, it's well known for misdoings. And during the process, I was retaliated, I was set up, I was fired, I got my job back, now I'm fired again. It's a vicious cycle. I feel sorry for the guy from Tesla, because he's going to be set up and he's going to eventually get fired. This is how they work. And I told when they closed my case, I said, why did you close my case when I opened it? Oh, we called the hospital and they said everything is okay. You're just a disgruntled employee. I said, no, the air conditioning comes on at 2 o'clock in the morning in ICU, even when it's raining out there. Patients are freezing while they're giving them bed baths at 3 o'clock in the morning. The nurses are cold because we're putting blankets and stuff to keep ourselves warm to take care of the patients. But she said, well, I talked to the HR and management, and they said everything was fine. It was just a disgruntled employee. So a lot of stuff is swept under the tables and up under the carpets, whatever you want to call it. And still, OSHA is not doing their job. It needs to be a whole clean house. I'm not saying with the inspector. There's probably some sincere inspector, but it needs some of the supervisors and management positions in OSHA need to be replaced, because right now we shouldn't be saying where's OSHA. OSHA should be here, and I'm pretty sure their manager telling them to stay home or to stay on vacation, whatever they want to do. All right. It was short and sweet.
OSHA health and safety whistleblowers is going on all over this state, all over this country. Workers, if they raise their voices about health and safety, are retaliated against and fired. It should be illegal, and these companies should be criminally prosecuted. A boss that fires somebody who's trying to protect their health and safety should be criminally prosecuted, because they are criminals. Workers who fight for their health and safety deserve to have the right to speak out. It's a basic human right. So our next speaker is Cheryl Thornton. She's Vice President of the Community Public Health Chapter of SEIU 1021 in San Francisco, and a longtime activist in the fight in healthcare for the community and for health rights. Welcome, Cheryl Thornton.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I just want to say, no life matters until Black Lives Matter. Say it. No life matters until Black Lives Matter. I'm here today because on March 30th, I filed a complaint with Cal-OSHA. I'm sorry, on March 30th, I filed a complaint with my supervisor because I was coughed on by a patient because I was sent to a screening table that had no protective gear. After complaining, nothing was done. So I called Cal-OSHA on April the 3rd. I filed a complaint, a confidential complaint, about the fact that we were in harm's way. Black workers and brown were in harm's way, essential workers who were not providing any protective gear and put in harm's way despite underlying health conditions. On April 7th, I called Cal-OSHA again to follow up because I had been removed from my workplace. My union did nothing. They didn't file a grievance. Cal-OSHA never followed up. I'm here to say enough is enough. Discrimination is illegal. Retaliation is illegal. We need Mayor Breed, the Board of Supervisors in San Francisco, Gavin Newsom, to restore Cal-OSHA to what it's supposed to be. We need people to come out and inspect. It is not fair that the black and brown people are put on the front lines and we die 3 times more than anybody else from COVID. And yet, we have no protection yet. Enough is enough. We must change. Enough is enough. We must change. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. So, the state of California is supposed to support worker rights. That's what the law requires. But in our view, this government agency, OSHA and the State Labor Commissioner, have been captured by the corporations. They've been captured by the union busters. That's why they allow workers to be fired who are trying to form a union, who are fighting for their rights. Our next speaker is Angie, who has been a fighter on the front lines for COLA for graduate students who don't have enough to eat in this state with over 170 billionaires. Why is that? Why is it that people don't have enough to eat in a state with 170 billionaires? It's because this state is run by the billionaires. That's why the Regents, University of California, and the state government. So welcome, Angie.
My name is Angie Sijun, and I am one of 100 graduate students from the University of California, Santa Cruz, fired on March 31st for organizing the Wildcat teaching strike for a living wage. We were left without income, healthcare, and a path to reinstatement in the midst of a pandemic, thus disposing of us for fighting against the conditions of our own disposability. In the weeks leading up to our termination, the Board of Regents explained that they had no money to pay us a cost of living adjustment. And then they spent $300,000 on military-grade surveillance technology every single day that we held a picket line. They sent helicopters and cops in riot gear. They arrested and brutalized 18 of my friends, colleagues, and comrades, all of whom were Black, brown, queer, indigenous, first generation, or formerly incarcerated students who had placed themselves at the front lines of this struggle as we urged the UC to pay us enough to live here. 1 week ago, my friend and fellow graduate student Carlos Cruz was issued a multi-year suspension for shutting down traffic leading up to campus and liberating the dining halls, actions which hundreds of us participated in. Police transmission recordings revealed targeted surveillance of Carlos. Carlos was ritually approached by sergeants who could identify him by first, middle, last name, and date of birth as tactics of intimidation. In student conduct proceedings, police reports used racialized language, pinning Carlos as the ringleader in a gang of hoodlums. Several undocumented students have been permanently banned from university housing from COLA. These students have been subject to this carceral machine while the UC continues to declare itself a sanctuary campus. It is no mistake that the UC president, Janet Napolitano, is the former director of Homeland Security. The University of California has transformed itself to become simultaneously a cop, a landlord, and a boss, and there is no other institution which resembles these characteristics except for the prison. This is not a parallel, conflation, or comparison, but it is an observation of the heterogeneity of power under neoliberalism. We realize that the university is not the ultimate source of our repression, but a central site of its reproduction in the service of capitalism, settler colonialism, and white supremacy. We ask for all charges to be dropped against Carlos Cruz. We ask for the abolition of the police and the role of the university within the military-industrial complex. We ask to be paid a living wage for the labors which we perform. We ask that the UC not condemn the murder of George Floyd while it militantly arrests and expels its students as we fight for the conditions of our survival. From the radical scholars who have come before us, we believe that a different university is possible if we have the bravery to imagine it. And until every prison door is open and every border comes crashing down, we'll see you at the barricades. Thank you.
You know, California is run by a Democrat, like New York, Governor Newsom. But apparently he has the same priorities as Trump, because they're right now talking about massive cuts in benefits and wages for workers, for state workers. They're now talking about closing schools, cutting education. We say make the billionaires pay. We need to make these billionaires in California pay for this crisis. Working people did not cause this crisis. Working people did not cause pandemic. So we are in favor of fighting for all working people to get full benefits. The 42 million workers in California and around the country need to have the right to have survival, to feed their families, to take care of their housing and their medical care. The opposite is happening. Right here in Oakland, there's a drive by the same billionaires, John Fisher, who runs the A's, to privatize the Port of Oakland and put up a stadium. Do we need more stadiums in Oakland? No. Paid for by the taxpayers? Rob Brunt and Nancy Skinner passed legislation for taxation of the people of Alameda County to pay for a goddamn stadium. What we need is full funding for education and to stop the privatization in charters. That's what we need in Oakland and California. We need to stop this union busting in charters. Our next speaker is Michael Hutchinson, who's been fighting against charterization, privatization, and for equality of education for the students in Oakland. Welcome, Michael Hutchinson.
Thank you. My name is Mike Hutchinson. I am co-founder of Oakland Public Education Network, a founding member of the Journey for Justice National Alliance, and now this year a candidate for school board in District 5. One of the things I really want to highlight as we're standing here in front of the state building is how much of our funding for education in Oakland comes from the state. So you are starting to hear talk that Oakland is facing a financial crisis in its schools. That is not true. Oakland started this year with over $70 million in reserve. That reserve is enough to carry us through any future funding hits. But the other thing that's really not true about the Oakland schools budget is it has not been prioritized to serve our students and serve our community. And I want to speak on one specific aspect of that budget today. Oakland Unified School District is one of less than 50 school districts in the state of California that has its own police force. So let me stress that again. Oakland Unified School District has their own police force. This police force in the past has killed students. We are entering now our budget cycle for OUSD for next year's budget. Our school board, our elected school board, on June 24th will be approving the budget for schools for next year. This is our opportunity. We have an organization in Oakland called BOP, Black Organizing Project. They are connected to the National Dignity in Schools campaign. They have been working for almost a decade to make our schools in Oakland police free. And we do not believe that our public education system should also be an instrument of policing for our students. We do not believe that we need armed officers inside of our schools. Our schools need to be a place of sanctuary, of safety, and of learning, not of threats and violence and oppression. We have a 1-month window, and I'm calling on everyone in Oakland. We might not be able to change OPD immediately in this month, but we're gonna try. But we do have a chance to completely defund the OUSD PD by June 24th. So I'm asking everyone to look into Black Organizing Project's campaign. They are actively asking everyone to call and email every school board member and demand that they write a resolution right now for the 2021 budget to defund the OUSD PD. Many of us have known for decades that we should not have a police force in our schools. I think it's become even more apparent over the last week at how dangerous that is. And so please, I'm asking you to support our Black community-led organization that has been putting in work for a decade. I'm asking you to support our students, our teachers, our staff, and our community. And as we're talking about safety on the work site and safety in our public institutions, let's remember, we mean protective personal equipment, we mean working conditions, and we definitely mean armed police officers. So let's take a pledge now, police-free schools, and I'm asking everyone, please, make a phone call, make an email, and there's 2 last school board meetings, June 10th and June 24th. Please come out and let's support our youth for police-free schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. And California spends more on prisons than on education. Why is that? People have to ask that. Why does California spend more on prisons and education? What is the priority of this state? What is the priority of these politicians, of Newsom and the legislature? We say, open the prisons and open the schools. Close the prisons, open the schools. Pay people to go to school. That's what we need to be doing in this state. Put people in school. That's what we need. Instead, schools are being closed. City College in San Francisco is being dismembered. Schools are being shut all over the state. This morning, before we came here, we were at the Lyft headquarters. And the gig economy, the part-time workers are being destroyed. They're losing their cars, they can't survive, they live in their cars, and they can't make a living. This is what's going on to the gig workers. Our next speaker is Eduardo Escobar with the Alliance and has been fighting for gig workers and Uber and Lyft workers. Welcome, Edward.
Hello, Oakland. Hello, Oakland. My name is Edward Escobar. I'm the founder of the Alliance for Independent Workers. We have the Drivers Unite movement, hashtag Drivers Unite, hashtag Gig Workers Unite, hashtag Essential Workers Unite. Si se puede, yes we can. Cal-OSHA needs to do their job for protections in the workplace. Uber and Lyft and many other workplaces are not providing the necessary PPE, personal protective equipment. It's a mask, it's a glove, it's disinfectant. And this is not a one-time occurrence because Uber's made plenty of promises to their millions of drivers. This is an ongoing problem. This is a global pandemic. Uber is a global virus. The Uberization of the world with their business model is damaging all other businesses. They are not competing fairly. And we need Cal-OSHA to come in and crack down. They need more workers because they need to enforce. Yes, they have older workers. We don't want to practice ageism, but you need other folks that are going to get in there and take care of business if these places of work are not providing the work protections, then they need to be shut down. They need to be enforced. All these rules and regulations are there for a reason, people. These are biohazards we're talking about. The worker themselves, if they contract COVID, they take it home to their family. Then their families suffer, and those family members are not covered. So we need to have the si se puede, yes we can attitude. Together we can make a difference in solidarity. The drivers nowadays, gig workers, a lot of them are living in their cars. They're the new homeless. They're coming from all over the state, all over the country, and they're living in their cars. Because San Francisco itself, in the Bay Area, has the highest cost of living. So we need to address these standards. We need sustainability factors in place, people. Uber, Lyft, these tech titans of Silicon Valley, they specifically recruit immigrants, low income, minorities, seniors, disabled, veterans, students, and even those that are further marginalized that had a prior criminal record deserve a second chance. So we're saying the voiceless majority needs to be protected in the workplace. We want to go back to work, so make it safe for all. All workers are essential. But the ones that are in the cutting lines on the front edge, police officers, healthcare workers, all of these folks that are out there, the retail store clerks, the restaurant servers, all of these deserve protection in the workplace. So we have to make sure they're all taken care of because we're all a part of the bigger community. We shouldn't be relying on this divide because we are being divided and conquered. We're giving away our power. So we need to unite in solidarity for the greater good of all. My name is Edward Escobar. I'm the founder of the Alliance for Independent Workers. Thank you. God bless. Cal-OSHA, do your job.
Our next speaker is Rachel. Welcome, Rachel.
All right, so my name is Rachel Jackson, and I'm an organizer with People Strike Bay Area. And People Strike Bay Area grew out of a call from Cooperation Jackson in Jackson, Mississippi, and a call that went out nationwide to build towards a general strike and towards actions around rent strikes, around debt strikes, around strikes for safety in schools, against police brutality, to free them all, to get people out of these prisons, and to change this whole setup. Because we are in a crisis right now because of the coronavirus, but we were in a crisis before. And as we're seeing right now with what's happening all over the country, the tragic murder of George Floyd has ripped open it's exposed all of the hypocrisy of the country once again, but at a moment where people are tired of it. And so we are standing up today with the people of Minneapolis, and we're standing today with the people of Louisville, Kentucky, and the person who was killed last night at a protest by either the police or the National Guard. We're standing with the people of the country and the people of the world who are tired of these conditions, and we're demanding people over profit. This world can't go on the way it is. We need people over profit. We need housing for all. We need health care for all. We need quality education for all. And the only way we're going to get that is if we get into the streets, we continue to get into the streets until our demands, until our needs, our actual needs are met. Because we cannot go back to normal. Because normal was not okay. Normal was not acceptable. And we'll continue, and that's why we're doing caravans and we're coming out. Is it a risk? There are risks. I am just as concerned about getting shot in the face with a tear gas canister, which has happened multiple times as well. So, everything is a risk assessment. Everything is a risk assessment, but we're in a crisis and we have to come out. So I want to thank everybody for coming out and, invite everybody to get ready, and we're going to